let's kick things off here with a demo from our platinum sponsor, Blackmagic. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Justin Yates.
Hi, welcome. I hope you liked that video. That was the first time I saw it too. Looks cool. So let me tell you a little bit about myself first. Some of you I already know and have had the pleasure of working with. Some of you don't know me. It's a great honor to be here, and especially opening EditFest 2025. I'm both a working editor and starting officially a few months ago, I'm a consultant product manager at Blackmagic Design. In my editorial career, I've been fortunate to work on major films like Avatar: The Way of Water, Alita: Battle Angel, San Andreas, The Nice Guys, and Deepwater Horizon, as well as a few independent features where resources are tighter and somehow creative demands on me were just as high, if not higher. One of them I had to do 900 final VFX, which I did in Fusion. Hopefully those movies will come out someday. I worked really hard on those. I don't have that much time up here this morning, so I want to get right into it. And I know it's still pretty early, so I want to start off this very exciting event without, the technical, boring step-by-step tutorial. So instead, we're all storytellers here, and we all love a good rom-com. So I want to tell you a story. My meet cute with Resolve started well over a decade ago, when I needed to convert every turnover on a certain project from P3 to Rec 709 for some reason. Someone thought it would be a good idea to convince a certain notoriously difficult director to work in P3 in the cutting room, never mind that no monitors could display that, except the special ones with LUT boxes on them. So here we are, converting P3 to Rec 709 100 times a day, and immediately Resolve was super helpful. Even back then, output seemed faster in Resolve, and it was really intuitive and easy to just drag those files into the program, get them set up, and go. After that, we were seeing each other casually for a really long time. Not too serious, but we had a lot of affinity for one another. And it helped me get through a lot of tight spots when I needed to convert media that needed to be brought into other programs that wouldn't accept it, or when I needed to watermark turnovers to 12 separate people and only had a few systems to work on. Resolve said, "Hey, buddy, I'll help you convert those files, no problem. And hey, use my data burn-in and batch export presets to get all that done as quick as you need, my dude. Life is too short to be spending too much time dealing with stuff like this." Then, almost 3 years ago now, things got really serious. I got a gig for a very talented and interesting director, a photographer by notoriety named Tyler Shields, who would not let me say the word proxy. He thought it was a curse word. I needed to help him put together a 3-episode version of a project he'd been working on for years. It all sounded very cool. He shot it on film, IMAX, VistaVision, CinemaScope, iPhones, this, that, and the other. But he had one stipulation, and he said, "I've been doing this in DaVinci Resolve," and he said, "So you have to cut it in Resolve with me." At this point, Resolve and I were deep into our second act and trying to figure out if these feelings we had for each other were real. I knew that my good friend Tashi had colored Avatar: The Way of Water in DaVinci Resolve, and that we had used it all the time in editorial for various things. I had spent a long time in my courtship with Resolve, and I felt comfortable. So I decided to take the plunge and say, absolutely, I love Resolve. let's do this. I had a great experience with that. Tyler and I were collaborating. He was at his house, I was at my house, and we did that over the cloud, and it was fantastic. And soon I was introducing Resolve to my family and friends, like you guys. I've cut 2 independent films and many shorts now in DaVinci Resolve. One of them got into Tribeca early this year. And I'm here to tell you, thank you, yes, little humble brag, I'm here to tell you that we are not exclusive as a couple. I think all of you would love Resolve just as much as I do if you got to know it. I'm killing right now, it's good. So what is it like to edit in Resolve? Well, as you see in the slide, it's fast. As I said, you can just bring stuff right in, get it set up really fast, and go. It's stable. The code base is really solid. That's a really dorky thing to say this early, but it's true. It really, really works, and it's really fun to use. It's also super powerful when you start to deep dive in. You can get really, really deep into some really powerful technical tools, but it presents as this simple, really easy to get started sort of thing. And my favorite part about it, because I'm a technophile and an early adopter, is that it's always up to date on every platform that we support, which is Apple, Windows, and Linux. And we try and stay up to date. We're kind of obsessively up to date on operating systems and new hardware as it comes out. So why do I love working in DaVinci Resolve? Well, it's got a clean, modern UI, which promotes focus and flow. The program is incredibly responsive. It feels very tactile when you interact with it. There's really no lag when you click and drag on anything. It's built for keyboard people. We make a keyboard. It's got a great jog wheel. We make several keyboards, actually, and they're really great. You should check them out over there at the demo table. It's also built for mouse people. It's also built for people who like to do a little bit of both. I don't know. Work how you want. And a really great feature that I love that has saved my butt over and over again is live save, which, to make something very complicated, very simple, it saves almost every click that you do. So if you crash and it's a computer program, computer programs crash, you maybe lose the last thing you did, not the last 15 minutes of what you did. So last but not least, it's got, as you saw in the video, powerful automated tools built in to help speed along drudgery of some of what we do to get ready to start editing and know what we're looking at. Why others love working in DaVinci Resolve? Some quotes from them. Jesse Goldsmith said, "Resolve lets me focus entirely on the creativity of editing. I don't get bogged down managing technical issues. Like I said, it's easy to bring stuff in, throw it in a timeline, drag stuff here and there, and get going." And Nathan Orloff, who I co-edited an indie film this past year with on Resolve, said, "Editing Resolve feels like I'm dancing with the timeline. It can keep up with me rather than feeling like I'm wrestling with it to do what I want." Which is true. It's very cool. So what's so special about DaVinci Resolve anyway? Well, it's an all-in-one post-production suite. It's got 7 pages, which are each kind of workspaces and their own apps at the same time for specific purposes within the suite. Media page, cut page, edit page, fusion page, color, Fairlight, deliver. It's for media management and ingest, cut and edit pages to give you a couple different interfaces to, cut page, maybe speed edit, assemble something together without having to worry about, was this on the right track in the timeline and all that. And edit page, which is your more traditional source record, timeline, dual screen, fine tune, really get into it sort of editing page. Visual effects in Fusion, I already mentioned, incredibly powerful node-based compositing that updates live into the Resolve timeline and is very, very powerful. I recently used it to do all of my temp comps as a VFX editor on a project, and I was able to do crazy things like take 8 tiles that were filmed to stitch together, project them onto 3D imaging, unwrap them like a cyclorama, and then 3D track them on some big camera moves. And that sounds like, oh, wow, how'd you do that? That must have taken a while. It took me like 20 minutes. It's pretty powerful. It's really, really cool. Sound mix and design in Fairlight. Color correction, everybody saw, is an industry standard. Chances are, if you've worked on a studio project in recent years, it's probably been colored on Resolve and conformed. And then the deliver page for outputs and delivery and mastering. You can do everything from outputting a QuickTime to a DCP to some really complicated IMF exports and things like that. It's very, very powerful. But like I said, if you don't want to focus on any of that, you don't have to. A lot of questions that I get when I talk to people are, but can it do what we need it to? We being professionals, high demand, high stress, working with teams, maybe remotely, different locations. So multi-user collaboration comes up a lot. Yes, absolutely. We have both a local server collaboration system that's super, super fast and storage agnostic. So it doesn't really matter. As long as you have good, fast, stable storage that you're using, then your project is supported. That multi-user collaboration also has bin locking and timeline locking per user. It's pretty fun. You get a little initial next to the bin with who's in it, and there's even a chat that's built in down there, so you can, without leaving the app, say, hey, can you get out of that bin? I need to do something. It supports offline, online workflows. If you have a lab and you're getting transcodes and you're going to send it back when you're done with the edit and conform, we can support that too. Our workflow also supports, if you're cutting something short form, like I said, proxy to source workflows for a while now, and very, very fast, and you can make them in the background. And you can even export AAFs and things to Pro Tools, and people can mix however they like. I know because I've done it. And then it's only getting better and better with every update. I mean, there may be something you give it a try and you're not into it, and you say, hey, Justin, I wish it was a little more like this. And, my answer may be, oh, yeah, we've heard about that, and we're trying to address it as quickly as we can. But really, the pace at which we're kicking out major updates it's intense. The last 3 years have added things like source timelines and really powerful AI tools and reconfiguring things. And when you open the app, it just works. And that's what's really great about it. So what is it like editing in Resolve? It's a familiar experience. Bins are bins, timelines are timelines, tracks are tracks, clips are clips, and markers are markers. It's flexible and tailorable to how you like to work. We offer things that you may see out there in other applications too, like tabbed and stacked timelines to have multiple timelines open at once, really fast drag and drop and copy and paste operations. The inspector for easy and intrinsic per clip effects, meaning click on a clip, go to the inspector, move it around. You can also copy and paste attributes really easily from clip to clip. And that sort of really helps save time, especially when you have a lot of effects to manage in a timeline. There are also powerful, built-in, and customizable effects and templates that you can use in the edit page. Smooth cut. That's another one I get asked about. It's a transition that lets you take time out of a shot and merge those two images together seamlessly so you can't tell that you've made an edit. It's really, really good. It just got an update in a recent version. And a cool thing about Resolve transitions is, like I said, this kind of like, it's easy, but then you can dive in. Any transition you can open up in Fusion and then add node-based parameters and make them really custom to how you want things to go. It's pretty cool. And then keyframing is very fast and easy for both video and audio effects. You want to rubber band some dialogue down, add your keyframes, drag them down. It's all very, very much there for you. And there's recently in version 20 and more recently 20.1, they've added like a keyframe panel editor with really powerful curve editing support. And that is also represented under the timeline. What do I usually tell people? Resolve is always in trim mode. Some of you may be familiar with this sort of concept already. What do I mean by that? If you click and drag in the timeline, you're liable to select a clip if you want. Although in version 20, we came out with a focus sort of mode feature where if you hold down the C key by default, the cursor will move independently to your with your mouse pointer and not select any of the clips. Selection mode is kind of like segment mode, red arrow, whatever, Premiere and Avid have. Trim mode is trim edit mode, which are your roller tools, ripple, roll, slip, slide, and it's all one mode. So you don't have to worry about what operation am I trying to do. You can kind of just think, well, I want to move that earlier, and then you just kind of do it. One trim tool for all these operations. And then JKL trimming is in dynamic trim mode, which also enables like a pre-roll, post-roll play around your edit. UI feedback in Resolve is a little more timeline-centric. There's a detail trim editor, which gives you sort of numerical readouts of how many frames you've slipped things here and there, which bridges that gap. Auto track selectors, it's like a sync lock plus timeline track selection combined into one thing. I'll show you that later, or also, if I don't have time, over at the demo table over there. And then track destination controls, you'll see on the left are your patching controls. And there's no filler. It's just blank, so you can click and drag and move everything. Although there is a bit of a thing to show you with what that means for cross dissolves and transitions. Automated tool set. What do we got? Well, Resolve is built in a really cool way. I don't really have time to explain that, but it allows some really, really powerful metadata and keyword functionality inside of the program. But as far as automated tools, what we have is a transcript tool that uses AI transcription and allows you to open multiple clips all at the same time and search through them, so that if you're looking for a particular word or performance, you can actually open up the entire project in this window and search every piece of daily that you have gotten and find the word that you're looking for. It's an incredibly helpful thing, especially if you're on something where you need to Frankenbite something together and you're looking for different sounds or a different piece of a phoneme of a word to try and combine together. Smart bins are a really cool thing. It's basically a preset find that can, as I said, use the metadata and keywording to give you a bin to like always collect your favorite things together. Or one of my favorite uses is every clip that's offline. And it dynamically updates as the statuses of these clips change in the project. You don't have to refresh or anything like that. We have some great audio tools, automated things like voice isolation, dialogue leveling, which live balances your clips as they play. You can have those things on as you edit so that pops in tone aren't sort of taking you out of whether that picture edit works or not. And something I'm going to get into in a live demo here is duration markers, which function almost like subclips, although you can also do subclips in the more traditional sense. And in that, you can use it to sort of really organize what's in your footage and then quickly assemble string outs of those things or play through them however you want to work. Okay, so I have put together a little bit of a live demo project, and I want to go through that with everybody. So if we could put my laptop and everything up on the screen. This is footage that Sabrina mentioned from the ACE editing experience. This is from an episode of The Queen's Gambit. And I want to thank ACE for letting me work with that material. This footage is available for a donation. And it's really, really cool to be able to work with material for shows that you know and love, and also to get a good scope of narrative versus reality TV documentary, sort of how that all works together. So, turn my mouse on here. What you're looking at is the laptop version of the Resolve single window interface. Over here is the media pool, and you'll notice that my clips are in thumbnails, and yes, these are custom ordered. So you can totally do that. If I turn off Snap to Grid, I can arrange this however I want. You'll notice that as I was hovering and interacting with my mouse over the clip, a feature called Live Preview was in action, which allows you to use your mouse to sort of jog through the footage. you can set in and out points, and you can do your edits from here as well without even having to worry about loading things into the source, which is really, really powerful. So I have this sort of pre-prepared, but what I was talking about with duration markers is if I wanted to, and this take, if I scrub through it, you'll see has a reset in the middle. And I want to say, trim this down so that I don't have to worry about what's between action and take, at least for the time being. I can scrub very quickly, set my in and outs, and then create an in and out duration marker, which makes a marker here that I can double click and name action 2. We're going to assume that take 1 and action 1 were no good because they kept going. So what appears in list view once you add that duration marker, but this does this for any marker as well, even non-duration markers, is it gives me a little caret here on the clip and a little subclip icon indented beneath. And what that is, if I double click on it, is the content between the markers that are set. And what happens when I drag that into a timeline is I get just that in and out range. So it's really useful for picking selects and marking down favorite pieces and leaving notes for yourself, and then being able to really quickly go through those notes, highlight a section of those little clips, drag them into a timeline, and boom, there's your rough edit. I have done that in a separate bin, and you'll notice if I fold all these down that I have labeled these up kind of very consistently as the beats in the scene. If you go down especially to the chess move, Harry's first move, Beth's first move, this is all my own way of breaking up the material, and I had my assistant, who's also me, go through and figure out the right way that I would think about this stuff. So, I mean, however you want, you can do it. But one thing I want to show you is if you do it consistently, what you can do in the media pool bin is filter this down. Let's say I want to see every clip of Harry first entering the room and sitting down. If I type sit, it filters out everything except what's matched in what it found. And I can really quickly go through and play through all the sections of him sitting. Oh, that's him sitting back. Or I can, as I said, grab all the pertinent clips and drag them into a really quick sort of line by line chem roll string out and get going. So that being said, I figured, it's EditFest and it's early, and I just talked your ears off about a lot of technical stuff. Why don't I do a high wire act and try and put a cut together of this scene in front of you all? I have cut this scene before, so I'm not going to make you watch the dailies with me. So having everything sort of broken out the way that I have it, and somebody's going to wave to me when I'm running out of time here. I'm going to load up action through Harry. He comes in the room and he says, sorry. And I'm going to drag that in to my timeline and get started. If I loaded this clip into the source side and I wanted to use keyboard shortcuts, I have my own custom keyboard that I've worked on. There are also default builds of keyboards that come for other applications if you have muscle memory and are more familiar with those. But the Resolve keys are great, and so I've sort of combined them into a mutant Justin keyboard that works only best for my brain. But you can do any action listed here and probably some more by invoking a keyboard shortcut or dragging over the timeline viewer. You get insert, overwrite, replace, fit to fill, place on top, append and end, or ripple overwrite. Or like I showed you before, you can just drag it into the timeline, put it where you want, and start going. So then from there, I have Harry's angle, and you'll notice if I flip to my source timeline to get a better look at the duration markers, I can hover over these sections and see the notes about what they are to myself. And then if I want to do source record editing from here, I can say Harry walks in through extra cup of coffee. I can set an in and out from the duration marker itself, go back into my timeline, cut that in. So that's pretty cool. I now have these two clips butted up against each other, and I can see immediately that there's a problem.
Sorry.
In that he says sorry there, and then we got this whole camera move, and then he comes in and he says sorry here, and so we got to trim this up. What I have to show you here are the ways to invoke the different trim modes in Resolve, and I want to walk you through those because it's very important. Selection mode is a non-rippling edit function. So if I click and drag a clip, it's going to overwrite. If I grab an edit point and move, it's not going to ripple the clips adjacent to it. It's going to eat them. That's important because if you want them to ripple, you switch to trim mode. In trim edit mode, you'll see the clip, and I'm going to turn off audio scrubbing because that's annoying. The clip ripples down as I extend that edit point out. I'm just going to undo that. You'll also see that you can see a sort of strip over the thumbnail and down in the audio, which is the duration marker text as well. So if you need to look at that, you can. I use Resolve, especially in the timeline. I'm pretty mouse heavy, but I know there's a lot of people who are very keyboard heavy. And you can use nudge keys to nudge things by a single frame or a customizable amount. Say if you want your 8 or a 1 second or whatever you want that value to be, you can customize that in the presets. And then I can flip over to something I mentioned earlier called dynamic trim mode, which is available in both selection mode and trim mode as kind of a modifier mode that enables JKL trimming and, like I said, play around, which you can also customize the amount of pre-roll and post-roll that you want for your edit. So if I look at this now, it jumps back.
Sorry.
And then we'll play what I have set in my pre and post roll, and then it snaps back to the edit point. That way I can evaluate whether I like what it's doing there or not. One thing I want to mention before moving forward, there's a dim switch built into the top of the timeline. So if you're working and you don't want to hear a lot of loud audio, you can hit dim and it will trim, without changing your mix, it will trim the output volume of the program so that you can have a sort of more reasonable level as you're working. And then you can turn dim off for proper playback. So one thing to also note as you're going through, you'll see the timeline viewer puts up the last frame of the outgoing edit and the first frame of the incoming edit, and it updates as you scrub. But what you also get is a ghost outline of the full extent of the clip that you have. So I can drag this all the way out to that, and then it'll turn red and tell me I don't have any more. Which is very helpful. One thing you'll also notice is the numeric information that comes up on the playhead as I click and drag it is telling me how many frames or seconds I've added and the total duration of that clip now underneath. Oh, they're telling me to wrap it up. So let me just make this one edit work for you, and then if you want to see more about this, you can find me over at the table for the rest of the day. So I'm just going to do this my way, because it's my life. I can do what I want. And I'm going to do something pretty old school and just lop that off. And then I'm going to see how that plays.
Sorry.
I kind of want him to enter a little bit more, but I do like sorry catching her eye and making her look up at him. So what I'm going to do is a bit of an asymmetric trim, and I'm going to turn off linking. And grab that side of the edit and this side of the edit and pull and push, and you'll see the values update, and I'll find the point that I think I want to start to see him, and then I'll go in and switch back to selection mode and trim up that audio, leave a gap. Now, this will bump unless I do something very, very quickly in the inspector, which is turn on AI voice isolation and my dialogue leveler. And I'll set this to about 55 so that it doesn't sound too cleaned. And then we'll press play. See how that's working.
Sorry. Thanks for a cup of coffee.
Still bumping a little bit, maybe turn that up. Now it's sounding pretty good. You can still hear some of the production effects, but you don't get that tone drop out. And you can see as this is going, it's playing on the fly. And this is just my laptop. So on a more professional workstation, you get this sort of thing in real time as you go. It's very, very cool. Anyway, that was my very quick spiel and demo. I hope this was illuminating. Come say hello. And importantly, enjoy the rest of EditFest 2025.